Payment process. Finance section of CFO 100. In this lecture, you can learn the payment process and what CFO needs to pay attention to control such a basic process for the company. The payment process is very critical as a finance function in a company. If there are mistakes in the process, it is a huge incident for the company. CFO should check the stability and feasibility of the routine payment process and its rule as the most basic function of the financial job. It is necessary to make a safe process to avoid any failure and embezzlement. If you look at the left side picture, you can see 3 steps in the payment process. In the beginning, the business division as an applicant apply the payment request. Next, the accounting department checks the entry, and then lastly, the finance department proceeds with the payment process. The most important message in this lecture is that segregation of duty is a core concept for the proper payment process. Those 3 steps should be segregated from each other and conducted by each different person. So, applicant and their department should be different from those who check entries and process the payment operation. The applicant should not be the same person for checking the entries. Not only segregation between the business side and the corporate side, but the accounting person and the finance person also should be segregated from each other. The person to operate the payment using the banking system should not be the same as the accounting person to check the handle entry. In terms of practical work, not only the assignment but also the system right should be assessed carefully to avoid overlapping among each function. Even if there is a different person for each process, if the system right doesn't properly reflect the reality, the segregation is not perfect. To understand the importance of segregation of duty, you can see the potential risk below this page. Then you can find what type of things happen in case of that there is no segregation of duty. On the applicant side, there is a risk that the applicant request goes to actual payment run directly without a checking point. Even without a malicious mind, there can be a wrong entry and a payment request can be created. As another example, if the accounting person and the finance person are the same, they can change the content of the payment request. They can collaborate to hide the embezzlement and the misconduct of the payment. That is why all 3 steps and the persons should be segregated as a basic concept. If CFO finds the situation that 2 functions are overlapping among the same person, it is necessary to immediately fix the situation. Such a situation usually happens in small organizations, so even in such a small organization, the minimum level of segregation should be processed. In the next slide, you can deeply see the inside of the accounting department and the finance department for each. In this slide, You can see the inside of the accounting department and the finance department. Not only segregation between those two departments, but even inside each department, the correct segregation should be implemented. In the accounting department, the process control person as an accountant and their manager should be segregated. In the accounting system, the accountant checks the proper documentation and the correctness of entry of the ledger and payee. After checking by the accountant, the process control manager should confirm the correctness again and approves the payment in the accounting system. Generally speaking, the accountant is working level person, so it's not a good idea to give the authorization right for the payment. The manager should ensure the process and declare that the payment is correct and ready to be processed. In the finance department, there is also the segregation of duty between the payment operator and the payment approver. The payment operator extracts the data from the ready payment approved by the accounting department and should not manipulate and change the contents of the request. This person just proceeds with the payment run using the banking system, with the data passed from the accounting system. As the final approver, the payment approver gets the payment request in the banking system and clicks the button to approve that payment. It shows that inside the finance department, there is also the segregation of duty. As I said in the accounting department, it's not good to leave their risk to a working level person, and the correct checking point is necessary. Once you find any deviation from this process, you should check and establish the proper process in the daily routine work. This treatment should be done as the most priority item than anything as CFO. Establishing the segregation of duty is a basic and core point that is necessary to be implemented. On the other hand, it is not only the measure to conduct and control the payment. In this slide, you can see 4 basic additional points to be done properly in accounting and finance department for a solid process. The first item is bank reconciliation. Bank reconciliation means reconciliation work between the bank statement and the accounting system to confirm the actual payment status is aligned with the books of account position. It can help to find any misconduct acting, and it can reduce the possibility of double payment, and that you can recover soon. You may be surprised that you can easily find that small to medium-sized companies tend to do this process monthly basis because of lack of manpower and knowledge. But this work should be properly done as daily basis. The second point is SOP, Standard Operation Procedure. In a small company, there is no formal SOP documentation to show the standard operation procedure for the payment. But it's necessary to create the SOP in writing. People should refer to it and follow that process. The daily work should not be deviation from the SOP. And the third point is reducing manual payment. The data of payment request should be passed from the accounting person to finance person without being touched by anyone. The modern ERP package and e-banking system can connect for that purpose. But there is a minor payment that is entered in the banking system by the hands of the finance person, referring to payment requests from the accounting person. It is important to make effort to reduce such type of payment. The difficulty is usually caused by our connection between two systems, but the technical error should be solved earlier. It is good for not only safe payment but also the efficiency of daily work. And the last one is the backup person. To improve the corrected segregation of duty, there should be a necessary workforce to do each work separately. In case of some person is absent, it may be difficult to be segregated from one person to another. To avoid such a situation, the CFO and each department leader should take care of manpower issues. There should be enough workforce to be backup person for each process. These four items are mandatory. At any cost, CFO should take care of that treatment. Once misconduct and embezzlement cause a large amount of volume of new work, it is too late to take care of it. In this lecture, you have learned the importance of segregation of duty as a core concept, and there are other several points that you need to follow. CFO should check your own company's internal process to be aligned with that minimum requirement. In another lecture, you can see several samples of wrong arrangement and understand how it actually causes the problem and weak compliance in the payment process.